ugly brisket, something you find at any of the big box stores. They're big, they're ugly, they're like 20 pounds. This is 22.2 pounds. It's huge. If you're asking me any questions, save them for the end, because I can't see the screen right now. This thing's huge, right? I mean, it's ginormous. Let me see if I could do something where I can see the screen. How's everybody doing? Let me do this. Let's flip. What up? And let's rotate. And let's rotate. Something like that. Alright, so I should be able to see what's going on. So this is a big, ugly 20-pound brisket. Guy called me up a few days ago, was like, hey, I know it's last minute, but could you do this for my office? He works at one of the big hospitals. So his office is opening up, actually. So I believe he works in one of those elective surgery offices. So I didn't get a chance to go out and go to my favorite Sam's Club and pick from a bunch of briskets. I had to go to Smart & Final, and this is all they had. So I'm going to show you guys how we make work of it, okay? So big guy like this, they're generally really ugly, and they got a bunch of parts you got to cut off. They got a bunch of parts you want to keep. So after this bad boy flattens out, you get to see the imperfections. You get to see what you're working with, okay? A lot of times when they're cryovac, even the ugly ones look kind of pretty. But once you get them out of the cryovac, you see what you're working with, okay? This is an IPB choice. I was glad to find a choice brisket at my local Smart & Final. So sometimes they only have select. So we take that, toss that aside. Alright. So basically, something this big, you're just going to start shaping it, okay? Don't be intimidated by the bigness and ugliness of it. Okay? See what we're working with? I'm going to start shaping it. But this is the first time. I've had this knife for a long time. I bought it to trim. See how long it is compared to the brisket? I bought it to trim. This is my actual first time using it to trim. So I'm going to take the edges. I'm just going to cut down the edge. Kind of make the edge look pretty. Try to cut it as straight as possible. Okay. Any of that gray fat or that gray meat you see, go ahead, feel free to trim that off. But you're just going to shape it. Again, this is going to be an eating brisket. You know, this ain't a competition brisket. I want to be able to preserve as much meat to cook correctly and to also eat well, okay? There's two things you're looking for in a brisket like this. You want it to cook correctly, and you want it to present and eat well. In order to do that, you got to sacrifice some meat, but not all of it, okay? So what I basically did, I took the side and I just kind of made a even cut along the side. I'll probably come back to that. Now I'm going to take the top side here, and you can see this. I'm going to take all that off, all that fat / silver skin. I'm just going to try to get it off as nicely as possible without cutting into the meat. And don't be afraid to pick up that flat, bend it a little bit, just so you can get underneath and get all that little bit of skin out. Okay? Don't be afraid. Who I got with me still? My little bro there from Utah. What's going on, Alex? Who else is with me? Say who's with me and where you're from. So I'm going to just take this top layer off. It's okay if I get the fat. If I don't get all of that silver skin, that's fine. It's gonna break down. This thing's gonna cook for 15-16 hours. So I'm gonna take this famous decal right here, this decal fat, and we're just gonna trim it off. Something like that is never gonna render on you. That's never gonna render. Cut it off. Hey, what's up, Robert from Mission, Texas? What's up, Roy? How you doing, man? Hope you and your family are doing well in these times, my brother. So, again, we're just gonna take this fat and just kind of trim it off. Again, working with a new knife too, so this might not flow as well as I would like it to, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, so you see how it looks now? Took it off. Still a couple little patches here. You got to get under the brisket sometimes and kind of pop it up in order to get that off. So I did the side, I did the decal. I'm gonna flip her now. This is where you have the thin side of the brisket flat. It's usually thinner on this side. I don't know if you can see that. See how one side's really thick and then it goes thin, okay? So when you shape it on this side, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of that in order for it to cook correctly, okay? The idea is if it's too thin, that piece of meat right there will start to dry out and it'll actually affect the whole brisket. Oh, what's up, Gino Garcia from Fresno? So if you don't cut that off and it dries out, it'll start sucking moisture from the rest of the brisket and then you'll have a drier brisket. So the idea is you might have to sacrifice some of this thin part right here in order to keep that from happening too much. It's gonna happen a little bit, it always does. All right, so now what we got here is, I like to consider this the ugly side. This is where you're gonna see probably the harshest cut of the whole thing. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that side while I'm at it. There we go. All right. If I say harsh, I mean that's gonna take a lot of meat off of there, okay? Toss it. So with this side, now I have the curve that I was talking about. I don't know if you can see that, but now I have the curve, okay? And then on this other side, I'm gonna create a little circle also. This is all so your brisket cooks correctly, okay? And when I say correctly, there's probably not a bad way, but there's an optimal way for that brisket to cook, okay? So next I've shaped it as much as I'm gonna shape on this side. You can see how it looks totally different now, okay? Next we're gonna flip, okay? When we flip, we got, what's up, Terry? Brad, how's it going? All right, so when we flip it, we got a lot of fat on this side. We're not gonna trim all that off, okay? We're only gonna trim it down to about 1/4 inch, okay? And the best way to see that is by looking on the side, and you can kind of see where we're at. Now every once in a while, or like me, every time you do one, you're gonna scalp it. See how I just scalped that? That's my bad, okay? So it's better to go like slower, not so big of cuts, than to scalp it like I just did. And you kind of want this fat to be even, Steven, okay? Gonna come here. It's pretty warm out here today, so this fat, as it warms up, it gets hard to deal with. So, and as it gets hard to deal with, your likelihood of cutting yourself is increased. So, I'm not gonna mess with it too much. I'm just gonna kind of shape this thing. Get this point kind of shaped. going to give you a nice side view of it. This side's really ugly. It's got this gnarly looking stuff on this side. Darnell. Look at that guy. Darnell. Where's down under Southern California? Shoot. I know it's hot. We're going to get rid of all that ugliness. Some people would even carve a lot of this fat out, and I just might. See what happens here in a minute. So this thing's got a big hump here, okay? So what a lot of people will do is they will carve out the center of that hump to try to lay it down, okay? So what they're doing by doing this is they're gonna decrease their cooking time, because this inner fat here will definitely affect your cooking time. Like, see that? See the amount of fat that is right there? That's pure fat. A lot of people leave this in to render it down. This cook, I'm not doing that. I'm trying to lay this thing down a little more so the brisket is a little more aerodynamic, okay? Not bad job, not bad job. So what I'm going to do now is, for the sake of this brisket getting too warm out here, as it gets more and more dangerous as you're cutting it, the warmer it gets. So, all right, flip it back around. Okay. To me, that's not really a bad deal right there. Only other thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go around the edge, and anywhere I have a sharper point, I'm going to just kind of round it off. Okay? 'Cause I just want the smoke to be able to glide over this thing as free as possible, okay? As free as possible. Okay? So that's it. That's the trim. Oh, hello Kelly from Kentucky. Seasoning's super easy. This thing is really sticky right now, so I don't even need to use a binder. I always start with this side. This is my ugly side, my non-presentation side. Just take some sea salt. I'm just gonna put in a good coat of sea salt. And this is not your table salt. I'm going to take some coarse black pepper. We're just going to go over it with some coarse black pepper. Pat it down. I know they call it a rub, but don't rub it. Just pat it down. Okay. Just going to pat her down. Alright. So that's that side. Pretty simple, right? Not too... Uh-oh, Kenny's on. Oh man, I'm being watched by the barbecue master himself. So, just a simple salt pepper rub. Now this is where I'm going to do my sides, and I'm going to get the rub more even on there. Okay, so I'm going to take the sea salt. I'm just going to hit the sides a little bit. And I'm going to come through with the pepper, hit the sides. Pat it, hit the sides, pat it, hit the sides, pat it, okay? Same thing with the front. Not super vital, but it helps. This side has a big gash in it. Try not to get it in the gash. Just try to get it on the sides of the meat. Okay. Alright, so now you're dealing with the presentation side, okay? The presentation side is, you know, that's what's going to show up when you do your slices or whatever. So this is the part where you want it to be as even as possible. And again, we're not rubbing, we're patting. If your meat is not sticky like this one is, this one's really sticky still, you might need to put some yellow mustard on it to get the rub to bind better. Okay. Pepper. I know a lot of people ask me, yeah, I notice you layer your seasonings. Just the way I do it. It's the way I find I could get a consistent seasoning better this way if I layer them. Again, if I'm only doing, I think the most I do is 8 at a time. It's a lot less work doing 8 than doing 20 like this, okay? So, something to think about. All right. That's it. So I got the coarse black pepper on there. I'm explain something to you about the pit here, okay? This cooker tends to run a little warmer on this side than this side, okay? A little warmer, 5-10 degrees, okay? So a big chunk of meat like this, I'm gonna put with the point in the back. Okay. Point back here, facing the back. The flat towards the front. Okay, I do that for 2 reasons. Number one, you see it's a huge smoker. My air travels like this in this smoker, okay? Front to back, back to front, okay? So you have to think about how air travels in your smoker. If I was using this guy, which I will be tomorrow, okay? This smoker here, let me flip you. If I'm using this smoker here, the air is traveling from the box here up out the stack, okay? So I'm gonna put the brisket in this smoker facing with the point facing that way, okay? So different smokers, different ways to cook them and put them in, okay? So that's where I'm at. Give me a few seconds. I find you actually taste the barbecue rub a whole lot better that way. So you're not wasting a whole bunch of rub on the bark. The bark is still going to form. The bark's still going to form with the salt and pepper I put on this. So these guys are, this thing probably weighs close to 40 pounds. Sorry, 40 pounds, 20 pounds. A lot of people think that's one whole piece of meat in there. Actually, it's 2 pieces of meat. So, what's up, Brad? Super simple recipe, very Texas stylish recipe here. So if you like Texas cuisine. If you're on a keto diet and you're trying to stay away from rubs and stuff with sugars, this is the way to do it. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. So these are full, this is a full shoulder, okay? They just cut it, put it in here. You can see the bone. This thing's gonna cook a long time, okay? A long time. So, only thing I'm looking for is anything weird. There's nothing weird on it. Alright, so bottom line is I'm going to season it. I'm only going to season around this and the top because the bottom of this thing has a fat cap that's going to end up being left on my grill. So I don't want to waste any seasoning. So come here like this, and you could use any kind of pork rub you want, or you could do it like this and stay away from the sugar, okay? Salt and pepper. Salt, pepper, pat. Salt, pepper, pat. These things are slippery. It's alright. Found me some Clorox wipes. I can wipe down all my containers later. So I'm going to cook these at 225. 225 along with the briskets until they're finished. Sorry about that. Thought I turned off my notifications. Okay. This guy's a little loose. You can feel it's not as tight as that other one. I don't know if that's pretty typical or what, but there's a little trick to this. You can put it on your hand and then pat it up against the side of your meat. It's not as nice, clean as I like it, but it works. And we'll come over the top. Again, if the meat was really dry and you could see the rubs bouncing off, you're going to want to use some kind of a binder. Mustard, oil, Worcestershire sauce. This is the ticket right here. The coarse black pepper. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't want to know. Coarse black pepper does something with that smoke where it helps filled that bark. It's weird. I know it sounds weird, but somehow it kind of grips that smoke some. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. So we're gonna come back over here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Got Mr. Brisket in there. Bingo. All right. Anyhow, any questions, comments, concerns? Let me know. You guys seen it all there? That's what I do. Is no magic, no hocus pocus. You got a pellet cooker, you could do the same at home. Take care. God bless you. I'm going to be monitoring this on my fireboard. So even when I leave for church in an hour or so, I'll be able to know the temperatures of the pit and make any adjustments if I need to. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you got a pellet cooker at home, you got any kind of cooker at home, adjust these methods to the cooker you have and you'll turn out a pretty good product. Take care. God bless. Peace.
I wish I was in the western country, sitting in a big armchair.